What's going on, people, man? EJ Boxing live here. Actually, I forgot about that, man. I should have played this check already, man.
Am I the meanest?
That's what I should have played it.
Sure enough. Am I the prettiest? Sure enough. Am I the baddest mofo low down around this town? Sure enough. Well, who am I? Sure enough. Who am I? Sure enough. I can't hear you. Sure enough. Can you dig it, nigga, sucker?
Yo, what's going on, people? What's going on? Everyone's got their opinion on this one, mate. Everyone's got their opinion on this one. Let me just remove that. Add this. So we have a blockbuster of a card, man. A blockbuster of a card. Look at it. Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora. That's okay, right? But they've doubled it up, tripled it up. Katie Taylor versus Natasha Jonas. That's a fight. Natasha Jonas didn't get a rematch. Now she's fighting for undisputed at lightweight. So is she moving up? I guess so. Then we have Bivol versus Craig Richards. So, and then we got Eubank. Then it's got Eubank. Ain't no one care about you fighting. So we Eubank here. I don't even know the guy he's fighting, to be fair, but Eubank's come back to Matchroom. He's wormed his way back into Matchroom after the hiatus, going on ITV and doing this and doing that and thinking we're gonna do our own way, like they knew better. Nowhere else to go, man. Nowhere else to go. Actually, to be fair, he never really wanted to leave Matchroom. I think it was his dad had a problem with Eddie Hearn. But he's back. I don't think, and maybe his dad not involved. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Who knows? Eubank is doing his thing. Eubank is doing his thing out here, bro. So, what do you guys think, eh? I thought other guys would jump in. This just obviously just dropped in my lap. And I thought, yeah, let me get this out and put this on the screen for y'all. There you go. Eubank versus Morris. I don't even know who this Morris guy is, man. No, don't even know who this Morris guy is. No idea. They got MTK show actually happening right now as we speak as well, actually. Who's this guy? Foster. I don't know who this guy is. These two guys here. MTK go. So I'm gonna go through the cards and see what people are on. I thought people would jump in. But obviously, maybe to take a while. People are not so enthusiastic to jump into the live stream because they get at work by a good old EJ. Where they at? This guy YG, bro, he's half dead. All right, let me hear what these guys are saying. These guys, that's a private chat. Can't really say that. All right, so let me go and get to the card. Yeah, get through this card. Get through this card as we speak. So let's start from Eubank. Let's fire Eubank. Chris Eubank Jr. Man, bloody hell, he's been missing for a minute, ain't he? Went to America. No one knows him. I don't know what. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what the kid's been doing. Oh yeah, this weekend we got Lawrence Okoli. Hopefully Lawrence Okoli can bring home the OBO championship. He's acting like he's already done it. He's already done it himself. It's in the bank, should I say? You know what I mean? Let's talk about Eubank first. Let's get the Eubank. Eubank. Let's get Eubank on the ship. Get him on the card. Stay straight away. Let me get him on the thing. Eubank. I have no idea who he's facing. No idea. He's fighting someone that no one cares about, as per usual, and trying to sell it. You know what I mean? Eubank should be able to dust this guy out pretty quickly. But you see the thing with Eubank, it's just name fighters. He has problems when he steps up. He has problems. Okay, let's find out who this Morris guy is. Let's find out who this Morris is. Where's he come from? What do we know about him? Never heard of him before. Eubank will probably big him up like they were bigging up the IBL belt the other day. Eubank Jr. Dear. You're getting on a bit now. It's 31 now. So it's time. See how time this flight. All right, this Morris guy, he's 23 wins with 3 losses. Ness, how old is he? Very he's old. Is he old? He's 28, actually, younger than Eubank. Oh, he's from England. Okay. From England. Who's he fought? He's fought journeymans. Journeyman. Who did he lose to, though? He lost to, dear, oh dear. He took, who did he lose to? He lost to some guy. Warren. He lost to this guy on points. He lost to Taiwan Booth. Oh God, he's he lost to Taiwan Booth. That's the one Eubank destroyed. Oh my God, he lost to Taiwan Booth. He needs to sit down, bruv. Jason Wellborn. He lost to him as well. I don't know who Jason Wellborn is, but he lost to Taiwan Booth. At the time, Taiwan Booth record at the time was 11-11. 11 wins with 11 losses with 5 KOs. He lost to him in a 4-rounder. Oh dear. He lost a unanimous decision to Jason Wellborn. These are the guys he lost to. 8 round against All-Star Warren, whatever. That's his name. Lost in points against him. Wow, these guys' records are awful. They're awful. He ain't fought no one, bruh. Kid ain't fought no one. He's coming on though. He's got a couple of knockouts in that 2019. He got 2 knockouts in 2019. He's been fighting basically up north, innit? Who's he managed by? Is he managed by anyone? Dear, shame. But he's stepping up, eh? So he's getting his big opportunity. He's ranked number 7 in England, number 68 in the world. Yeah. Mark Heffron, Danny things. Eubank Jr. is the best at. What is it? It's middleweight. I thought Eubank was light middleweight, super middleweight. Oh, okay. She's gone back down to middleweight again, eh? Eubank and Phoenix Cash would have been better. That would have been a better fight. Because Phoenix Cash is he's got 13 wins with the thing. That would have been a better fight. Why didn't they put Phoenix Cash in there? Why did they put this guy in there? But Eubank's got similar losses. Eubank's still the number 1 in there. Oh dear. Dear. So that's Eubank fighting another. If that guy was to upset Eubank, I doubt it though. I doubt it. Eubank deep, bruv. So that's Chris Eubank. That's who he's fighting against. Marcus Morris. They call it Sweet M&M. What's it? Sweet M&M. Sweet M&M. Oh God. Oh yeah, before his middle name, innit? Marcus now was Morrison. That's his name. He's 5'11". Eubank should be able to just deal with him, bro. Eubank with 29 wins with 22 knockouts. Every time he stepped up, he's 5'11", so they're about the same, innit? But Eubank's fought better. Come on, he's fought better competition. Look at that. He's got Matt Corwell. You know, he's lucky he got that when Matt Hall's arm broke up. He got James DeGale, big, probably the best win in his career. JJ McDonough beat him 3 rounds. Lost to George Groves. Yildridge, in respect, who just fought Canelo Alvarez. Off Abraham, actually, that's probably one of the best from them two. Between him and James DeGale, best wins in his career. He also got Billy Joe Saunders. He fought Billy Joe Saunders in a fight where he was coming back in there. So he's been against much better opposition. So he should be able to deal with this kid pretty handily, in my opinion. You know, that's what I think. So next one, Katie Taylor. Let me bring up put Katie Taylor on the screen. Put her on the screen. What's people saying in the chat? Yeah, Roy Jones Jr. is gonna have Eubank looking like a new man. I don't think so. Nah, I don't think so. Nah. Nope, I don't think so. Eubank's still the same. Still the same. He's very I don't know what Roy Jones is gonna teach him in it. He's just Eubank. I couldn't tell you. Eubank win the fight though. Because this guy here, I've never heard of this guy here. Look, from the time he lost to Tywin Booth, yeah, that's done. It's done. Eubank beat Tywin Booth when he was up and coming, man. Come on. Stop it. It's long. All right, next one in. Yeah, do that one in it. Natasha Jonas and Katie Taylor. That's the next one gonna be in. Listen, he's been with Bear Train. He's been in a lot of trainers. Even Mike McCallum used to train him. He ain't gonna help him. Eubank's stuck, man. The fight is poor. Yeah, it is poor. It's very poor. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Look at the guys he's lost to, man. Eubank's just frauding it up, man. Just frauding it up. He would have been better against Felix Cash. That would have been a better fight. That would have been more interesting fight. Why didn't he put against him? Fighting against that guy there. All right, let's look at Natasha Jonas and Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor's lucky, yeah. She's had a couple lucky escape losses. Buffoon, Whitlins, the two of them, she lost both of them. And in my opinion, she just got them on decision. And definitely Jesse McAllister. I think Jesse McAllister won that fight. It was close though. It was close, but I think she won. I think can McAllister win, but they might fight. But Natasha Jonas, let's look at her history. Katie Taylor's she's due to get beat at some point. Natasha Jonas, she got knocked out badly though. She got knocked out badly by a girl that Katie Taylor beat though. That's the thing. That is the truth. But she's come on since then though, isn't it? What's it? Thingy, Virginia of thing. What's her name? Oh, well, I can't remember her name is. But Katie Taylor beat her in it. I remember Katie Taylor beat her in it early. Oh, 1 second. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Katie Taylor beat her. Let me see when Katie Taylor beat that girl. That girl stopped her. That's really why. Where was it? It was early in Katie Taylor's career. Yeah, it was her second fight. And it was her second fight. Katie Taylor beat her on point 6 round, outpointing her easy. So for Katie Taylor, this is a natural fight for her, mate. This is a natural fight for her. Lightweight. Yeah, Natasha Jonas. Yeah, this is a natural fight for her. What was the weight Natasha Jonas last fought of though? Terry Harper. What weight was that? Featherweight. Oh, super featherweight. So she's moving up. Okay. So she's moving up a bit. So Katie Taylor moving up to lightweight. Southpaw. Natasha Jonas. I think they might have fought before in the amateurs. I'm not too sure. Ranked in England, Katie Taylor. She's ranked number 1. There's not many women in there. This girl called Ebony Carly. Who's this one? No, not her. Who's this girl called Ebony? Because a girl called Ebony Carleen. Let me see her. Never knew. I don't even know who that is. Where's she from? Okay. Oh, she's got one loss her first fight. She got one loss. There's the ranking women. Their ranking's terrible. The ranking's awful. Do you know how many women, in that weight class, isn't it? In the lightweight class in England, isn't it? There's 6. There's bloody 6, man. There's 6. She's the highest, isn't it? Ah, shit, man. Dear, oh dear, bro. All right, anyway. So anyway, Natasha Jonas, she's ranked number 6 number 1 in England. I don't know actually she got that ranking. She fought super feather, and Katie Taylor's ranked number 1. She's ranked Natasha Jonas. She's ranked number 7th in the world. So yeah, Master Ascent thing. I would have liked that. See that fight. That would have been a good little fight. That girl from America. But yeah, Katie Taylor's there, man. Number 1, undisputed, at the top. She's got a couple of decisions in that. When the thing about the champion, you got to beat the champion. With Katie Taylor, you have to knock the champion. Natasha Jonas got the power. Well, Natasha Jonas with 9 wins and 7 KOs, and the only loss she's got. Katie Taylor should be able to win this fight pretty handily, by on the score, by what we've seen. But she's come on. I think she beat Terry Harper. She beat her, and it was a draw. It shouldn't have been a draw. She should have been a champion at super feather, and now she moves up against Katie Taylor. So Katie Taylor is definitely gonna have the hand speed. Maybe Jonas hits a bit harder. She's a southpaw. Katie Taylor, what starts is she a southpaw as well? Nah, she's orthodox. Katie should be able to probably look to outbox her and win this fight. Natasha Jonas is quite flat-footed. Miss GB, that's what they call her. So I predict probably Katie Taylor will probably win on points in this one. Natasha Jonas has to put her on her back. Katie Taylor if she can. But Katie, she's pretty tough, man. She's pretty tough. She's getting on now. She's 30, 34. She hasn't got long in the game left, mate. Someone's gonna tuck her in at some point. She's getting old. Natasha Jonas is 36 though. She's old. She's even older, and she's been out the ring long, innit? When's the last time she's been in the ring? Last time she was in the ring, it was like what? October. Yeah, October. No, not nothing like. That's it. September, man. September last year, innit? September last year, so it's a long time out to be out the ring, man. That's a long time to be out the ring, boy. So she's got a bit of ring rust still. Nearly coming up to a year. Katie Taylor fought recently, didn't she? When Katie Taylor fought? Yeah, she fought in November. So she's been recently actively. So Jonas has got a lot to overcome, man, in this one. Yeah, she's older as well. So that is that fight. Let's move on to the other one. You guys keep your I'll get through your comments as well. Joe Host and everyone. The Guru, what's going on there? You guys keep coming. Let's go to the next fight. Next fight coming up is Bivol. Is it Bivol? Yeah, it's Bivol. Let's look at Bivol. See, that's the one that most people think. Yeah, what's the point? Let's look at that one. The Eubank fight should be one-sided. If Eubank loses to that guy, it'd be shocking. Absolutely shocking. Someone jumped in, and we got the Fight Doctor. Fight Doctor in the house. What's going on, Fight Doctor?
Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status as always. What's going on, sir?
What's going on? Nah, I'm all right, man. Everything's good in that. We're just going over the fights, bro. Just going over the fights. So I'm on Demetrius Bivol versus Craig Richards. What you know, what you say, what you think? Fight Doctor.
Dimitri Bivol versus who?
Versus Craig Richards. Craig the Spider Richards.
Richards, where's he out of? I've actually never heard of him before.
Oh no, Mike. Oh no. It's like that. Hey, you know what? Hey, fact that this comes with it, bro. Like my man, listen, and that's what it comes down to. What would you know about? All right, what you know about Dribble then? Bivol. What you know about him though?
He likes to box. He doesn't really carry a big punch at 175, but he's a good boxer. He's potentially the best pure boxer at 175. All
right, so see Bivol, yeah, he came into fruition, yeah. In my opinion, I think when he beat Sullivan Barrera by 12th round stoppage, that's the first time I heard about it. That's like what 3 years ago now, in 2018, yeah. It's the first time I heard of him. From that point, he beat Isaac Chilembe on points. Then he beat Jean Pascal. That's a good 12-round decision in him, and he beat Joe Smith Jr. by Jonas decision, and some other bum I don't know. And then obviously he's fighting Craig Richards, but that's when he's 30. Was he 30 years of age? Yeah, and he's 6 foot. You know what I mean? Like, so he just burst into the scene. Like before that, I never even knew about this guy. He's just been fighting guys out in America, mostly in Russia. He came to America in 2017, and then when he stepped up against Sullivan Barrera, that was a good win. Because Sullivan Barrera before that, I think he went the distance with Ward or so. He fought Ward, and I think he beat Jesse. Oh, okay, he lost to Jesse Hart actually. He lost recently, Jesse Hart. Yeah, he beat Joe Smith Jr. So that was a good win, and he went with Ward. So that was a pretty good win for Demetrius Bivol to come onto the scene. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely shows. He's definitely shown. He beat Sean Mannion actually as well. Sean, what's it thingy? So, but you see this Craig Richards, yeah. All right, let me tell you about Craig Richards. Craig Richards got 16 wins. He got 1 loss. And I think that loss is from Frank Buglioni. I was there. I watched that fight. That's the one he lost against. And since then, he's been rallying up in the UK. He's been racking him up. He's been racking up a couple of wins still, you know, after the loss against Frank Buglioni. And then his biggest win, he beat Andre Sterling recently as well. His biggest win against Shaquem Peters in the 9th round on Channel 5. That was a terrestrial TV for the British light heavyweight championship, and he won that. Now, normally, you'd think he should fight thing, but because he's fought like people like Frank Buglioni and Jake Ball and stuff. These are just UK guys there. So I think for, Eddie Hearn's fought, they've got opportunity. He stands at 6'1". He's an orthodox fighter. He's got 16 wins with 9 KOs, one win, 1 draw. So that's him. What do you think is going to happen in that fight, Doctor?
Honestly, I have no clue because I've never seen this guy Richards before, so I don't know. But what I do know is Bivol and Beterbiev, they need to fight. All right. I mean, that's like the logical fight which needs to happen at light heavyweight. And that fight needs to happen. Now I know Beterbiev or Beterbiev, he's a PBC fighter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is. Well, no, I don't know, not no more. I think he might have left there. I'm not too sure now. But go on.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, you know, these fights need to happen. And so Beterbiev is the legitimate champion at 175. Bivol is his legitimate #1 contender. Like, this fight needs to happen. Period. I mean, it needs to happen.
Well, this fight's happening first, and May the 1st. And May the 1st has got a card, man. It's a blockbuster card over in the UK. And we're gonna get into the main event now, because we just done Natasha Jonas and Katie Taylor. Do you want to talk on that fight, Doctor? Or nope? I don't care about that, bro.
Listen, I appreciate women's boxing because women are very competitive, and you tend to get a real scrap when the ladies fight. And if it's a contest between 2 combatants who are equally skilled or close in their skill set, it's normally a good fight. So, but I am not familiar with Jonas, so really I wouldn't know like what the hell is going to happen in this fight. Okay,
all right. So let's get to the main event. Joseph Badman Parker, trained by Andy Lee, going against Derek War Chisora. Give us your take. What do you think is going to win?
Honestly, I think Joseph Parker's attorney is going to win because he can take his purse and have a nice retainer for a good attorney. Okay. So I think Joseph Parker's attorney is going to win this fight. Either way.
No, seriously, like, so what? You give Derek a shot to beat him, or what do you think?
I mean, so last time we saw Chisora, he was getting outboxed by an undersized heavyweight in Usyk. So, I mean, say what you will about Parker, but I mean, he's got a chin, and you know, he's not exactly feather-fisted. And so I think if he could put hands on Chisora, he should be able to make him think twice. And I expect Parker to win the decision. You know, I think Chisora has seen his best days. I mean, he looked shot in his last fight, in my opinion. It seems like he was able to, make it a fight early in the early rounds with Usyk, but then he got gassed, and then that was it. Usyk had his way. So I don't see why Joseph Parker can't essentially do the same thing.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're right. He gave it a good effort against Usyk. Usyk was complaining and saying Derek Chisora took some of the horsehair out the gloves and stuff in his language, and Usyk wasn't really happy with that. In fact, I think Eddie Hearn's been going out of his way to put Usyk in fights where he hasn't looked good against, in my opinion. Usyk, who won the World Boxing Super Series, he hasn't really catch light against the UK guys or certain fighters he's been fighting in America. In fact, he's looked quite ordinary. But that's to do with a lot of times, it's to do with the matchmaking. And I think with Usyk, he's been matched against guys not to make him look good. But if you're really that good, if you are that good, you should be able to get rid of these guys, dispose of these guys pretty well. He hasn't looked that good. So it was good. Derek Chisora gave a good effort. He went the distance. And so, fair play. Like, most people, you'd think Derek Chisora was going to be completely outclassed, but he had a good couple of rounds in the fight, and then after that, it was all one-sided. After that, Joseph Parker, on the other hand, he had a hug fest the other day against Junior, whatever his name is, Junior, whatever. That was awful. He's been fighting bums. I don't know about Joseph Parker. I think he's lost his way. To be fair, I think he's lost his way completely. Let me look at his last couple of opponents in Joseph Parker. I'm completely, when I think about Joseph Parker, there's nothing good about him. He looked like he stole the belt from Andy Ruiz. He gave the guy a rematch, and my man's been acting as he's been a world champion or world contender, but he's not really about it. On the scene, he had a good record and everything like that. But since then, after Anthony Joshua dealt with him, and that fight wasn't that particularly pleasing. Joseph Parker's just been on a bum fest. Let me read out some of the names he's been doing. Even when he was world champion, when he was world champion, I think Carlos Takam was a good fight he had. But that was before he was champion. And then the Andy Ruiz fight, 12-round bore. He went against this, I can't remember this name. Huey Fury fight was awful. And then he got in there with Anthony Joshua. I was there. I wasn't there for the whole build-up and stuff like that. It was a mega fight at the time, but Joshua just won the fight and took his belt. That was a good occasion for us in the UK. And then he went against Dillian White. I was there for the build-up in that in 2018, and Dillian got in his head. And to be fair, he started a bit too late. I think he if that was a rematch, he wanted a rematch, he didn't get it. And then since then, he's been fighting pure bums, man, pure bums. Alex Lipanez, this guy here, Alexander Flores, these guys, Junior Farr. But Junior Farr at the time was 19-0, bro. But come on, man, these guys are not got no ambition.
Yeah, he's got a guy on here, Winters, 13-2.
Yeah,
I mean that's. I mean, what are you trying to? What is the point? I guess that's just a stay busy fight, or what the hell? I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah. Like, these opponents, look at this. It's horrible. And then, just absolutely, this was like, you've dropped off there from like Hugh Fury, that was good, like from Joshua to Dillian White, and it's just a complete drop off. Level opponents. And now you're going to get Derek Chisora, like, Derek's like a journeyman, isn't he? He's like a fringe European world level content, this journeyman gatekeeper, right? At this point.
At this point, yes. At this point.
Absolutely. It's yeah, I mean, listen. I'll pick Derek in the fight anyway. I think Joseph Parker, he's left Kevin Barry. He's been in trouble with the law about some money laundering or whatever. I'm not too sure, but but he's coming over and he's getting the fight. He's got Andy Lee training him. Maybe he's going to get better. I'm not too sure, but it's nothing good. All right, let's move on to some other fights, because some of these fights, that's the Blockbuster card. I think over in the UK we're going to pay for it though. Split decision, yeah. My man's got him split decision. It's a 50-50 fight. My man got it. Yeah, it's 50-50 fight. Yeah, it's a battle of the journeymen. If Joseph Parker can't beat Derek Chisora, he'll just replace Derek Chisora as a journeyman. That's the way I see it. What do you think, Michael? You agree?
Well, listen, with his out of the ring distractions, anything is possible in this fight. I mean, I would go back to the Tyson Douglas fight. Tyson is what 20-1 favorite. Came in unprepared, distracted, and got knocked out. So something similar could happen here. I mean, this guy's he hasn't exactly been implicated in those the drug dealing conspiracy, whatever the hell is going on. But I mean, it certainly could be something. It certainly probably is something looming in the back of his mind. So who's to say this guy took his training 100% serious? So we'll see.
100%. All right, let's move on to the fight this weekend. The biggest fight this weekend. Lawrence Coley versus Christoph Kowalski for the WBO Cruiserweight Championship of the World. Who you got and why?
Honestly, I have not followed the Cruiserweight division in a very long time. But push come to shove, put a gun to my head, I'm going to pick Glowacki in this fight.
Tell us why, man.
Well, honestly, here, let me pull up Glowacki's record real quick. Give me a second. Let me pull up.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's the thing, man. Yeah, you do that. I was thinking of doing the same thing, man. Christoph Kowalski. Because I don't know.
Yeah, let me pull up Glowacki's record real quick. I just had BoxRec open too. What the hell happened to it? Yeah, give me a second. Let me pull up this guy's record.
No worries, man. Lawrence Coley. Yeah, well, Lawrence Coley's record. Yeah, 1 minute. Lawrence Coley's record. Matty Askins, Luke Watkins, Isaac Chamberlain. I think Isaac Chamberlain was the first kind of step up. Like Isaac Chamberlain was 9-0. I went to see that. It was a horrible fight. Luke Watkins fight. He stopped Luke Watkins. Was 13-0. So see, Lawrence Coley's beating all the guys in his domestic level. Matty Askins, he beat him. That was another hug fest. It was horrible. He won on a nice decision. At the time, it was really bad. That was a really awful fight. That was really bad. Matty Askins was a pretty good punch a bit. He had a bit of a dig, and he beat him. That was pretty good. Wadi Camacho, that was another fight. He beat him. He stopped him in 4 rounds. And, since then, he just got stoppage. He's got stoppages all the way up. And in the last fight, he stopped a guy who was 19-0 with 1 draw. Stopped him in 2 rounds. Actually, he stopped another guy who was 20-0 or 2. So he's the heavy favorite against Christoph Kowalski. But the thing is, the opponents are not Christoph Kowalski, right? Christoph Kowalski. Go ahead, fight though. Tell us about Christoph Kowalski. Go ahead.
Well, I'm looking at his record now, and I mean that Okoli guy, he's huge, 6'5" cruiserweight.
Yeah,
that's huge for cruiser. But he's only had 15 pro fights, and experience counts. Yeah, I'm looking at this now. And
well, Christoph Kowalski, yeah, he for me, he burst on the scene when he beat Marco Huck. When Marco Huck was debuting for the PBC, I think at this point he left the Salem Brothers or he was still with them. I'm not too sure. And that was his American youth debut. Also, he was going to beat Johnny Nelson's record. And in a great fight, one of the greatest fights in cruiserweight history, Marco Huck was just about to equal. It was equaled with Johnny Nelson's record. I think it was 19 defense of the WBO or something or 12 defenses, something like that. And it was about to surpass it. And Christoph Kowalski upset the upper card. And the thing is, low place when he was around, he called it. He said he called it. I said, because I was like, how are they going to beat this guy when they're building up this Marco Huck? It was his debut. Marco Huck only at that point had 1 loss coming into that fight. And that was against Povetkin when he moved up to heavyweight. And he was coming to the USA, his debut. I said, how are they going to lose him against this guy, Christoph Kowalski? So I watched the fight and I was stunned. It was a great fight. And the southpaw Christoph Kowalski upset him. And that was a great win. And then after that, he follows up against the former IBF Cruiserweight champion, against Steve SSS Cunningham. He beats him, nice decision. And the fight wasn't that really good. And then later on in the same year, he goes against Alexander Usyk, where he gets outpointed. and there's no shame in that. Losing to Alexander Povetkin, who was at the time was 9-0, and he lost to him, so fair play. But then he rebuilds himself. His next fight after that, he doesn't get this. He ain't taking no easy ones, yeah. This guy Hinjar, whatever his name, he's 29-0. Beat him. You know, that's a decent level. It's not like he's taking no cupcakes. And he goes in, and the referee stops the contest. Referee stops the fight, and he wins in a 5. Was it referee? Yeah, I think the referee stopped. I don't know what happened with him, but he stopped. The fight got stopped. They lost. I think it on points. Referee. What's RTD? Referee. Yeah, referee stops. I think referee stops.
RTD is retired.
Okay, the guy retired in the corner. There you go. All right. So he beat, but that's pretty good. He beat that guy with 29. I don't really know too much about the guy. Moves up again. Leonard, whatever his name is, the guy's 18-3. Beats him. Beats him by TKO. He's beating a good level guy. Then he beats another guy who's 6-0. These are all European level, lad. This is all European level, world level, fringe world level. Marius Braders. Now that fight was horrible. I just watched that fight yesterday where he got elbowed in his face and his head wasn't all there. What's his name? Chris Bird. No, Robert Bird didn't really do a good job on that one. Robert Bird. That was a bad one. He got elbowed and then he got hit. And Marius Brader took him out in 3 rounds, and that was pretty bad for him. So he's coming off a KO loss, but he's in it. But the thing is, what I'm looking at is Chris Glowacki has legit world level power. You know what I mean? He's not a massive puncher, but he has real respectable power, and he stands at 6 foot. He's a southpaw, and he's a real deal. He ain't no journeyman. He's coming thing, and he's going against Lawrence Okoli. So tell us about what you know about Lawrence Okoli, and do you think he can upset? Because Lawrence, like you said, he's got a height. I've seen Lawrence Okoli spar, by the way, but I want to hear Fight Doctor's take. Go ahead, Fight Doctor.
So I'm looking at his record, and I don't recognize any of the names on Okoli's resume. I mean, I don't know who any of these guys are. And it looks to me like he's only really upped his level opposition only recently, like in his last couple of fights. You know, so last guy he fought was 19-0 with 1 draw. And the guy before that was 20-0. And then the guy before that was 13-2. So yeah, Glowacki has a huge advantage in terms of experience at the world level. I mean, this guy doesn't have any experience at the world level. Looking at his resume,
yeah.
So
even as Olympian, he didn't medal in Olympics, and also I think similar to Lawrence Okoli, I think you'd have to look at Steve S.S. Cunningham. They kind of got similar heights and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was watching that fight, and he dealt with Steve S.S. Cunningham pretty well. But this guy, Lawrence, has just stepped in fringe into European. These guys are like European level guys. I mean, European level. But Glowacki, he's been fighting world level, European level for the minute. That's where he's been living at. He's a pretty competent southpaw. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, he's got like Lawrence. This thing about Lawrence, right? Lawrence, to me, I don't know how well he can take shots. You know, I don't know how well he could take. He's actually beat Richard Hall as well. Remember Richard Hall, the Jamaican guy, fought Roy Jones.
Yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, he was a former Roy Jones opponent.
Yeah. He beat him. This is earlier on, right? But the Steve S.S. Cunningham fight, you know, that I saw that fight. It's like he had a real good solid game plan. Let me see. So Steve S.S. Cunningham, he stands at 6 foot. How tall is Lawrence Cole? 6'5", right?
6'5".
Okay, look, Steve Cunningham is 6'3", 6'3". So, and he dealt with him, and he's a pretty good boxer. He's not really a big puncher. Like Lawrence is a big puncher, but is Lawrence proven a big puncher at the world level? You know what I mean? If he can land his shots, I guess he can hurt you really. But anyway, what are you picking on this fight? Do you think Lawrence could win this fight here? What do you think?
Well, I've never actually seen a guy fight, so I mean, I can only base it off of what I have in front of me. And again, in these types of situations, when you have a guy who has experience at the world level against a guy who's just knocked over a bunch of tomato cans, from what it looks like, from what I can see at least, well, you know, I got to go with the guy who has more experience at the world level. And in this instance, you have a guy who has experience at the world level and another guy who has no experience at the world level. So we'll see. You know, I mean, how many southpaws has Okoli fought?
maybe Matty Haskett, but he's Lawrence. The thing about Lawrence Okoli, his fighting style, yeah, is very hugging, man. He's been in fights where it's just look awful because when they get close, they hug and stuff like that. They look very, very, very bad, very bad. Like almost like Johnny Nelson. You know how Johnny Nelson fights, just like that. Like, but you know Johnny Nelson. And I can't remember he had a fight with Henry Yucker one day. It was he's had some fights like that, but he's not.
Yeah.
If he's not hugging, he'll knock you out. And I've seen him spar. I've seen him spar, and he's pretty good to keep. When he keeps you at the end of his jab and stuff like, he's pretty effective. He is very effective when he keeps you at the end of his jab. And I've seen Lawrence Coley. I actually gave him one of his first interviews actually. When he was with Anthony Joshua, he's with Anthony Joshua. He signed my Anthony Joshua company, and they've gave him a title shot. And do you think let me ask you this question: do you think he's earned this world title shot because he's beat the European champion and he knocked him out in 7 rounds? So, but he hasn't really defended the European championship. He just beat one European guy and then stepped in. Do you really think he's earned the title shot to get? I mean, the title was vacant against Gwaki. I mean, Gwaki's come off a knockout loss. So do you reckon it's all about timing? What do you think? And they're talking about him going up to heavyweight.
Well, at 6'5", I think he needs to. I think he put on the weight, but so cruiserweight has been sort of like a wasteland for some years now. Okay, well, at least from the American point of view, as biased as it is. So, and it just hasn't been just from my point of view, there hasn't been a whole lot to really get excited about in the cruiserweight division since David Hay left. So is this guy worthy of a title shot? Probably not. But I mean, who else is there?
Yeah. Well, Lawrence is acting like he's cool. Eddie Hearn was about to give him the belt in one interview, and Lawrence said, "Nah, it's okay. I'll take it after." Lawrence is focused, and he's with Shane McGuigan. It's gonna be a hard ask for him. I see a lot of holding and mauling and thingy field fight. I see that kind of fight going, but we'll see. The next fight coming in. Well, not really the next fight coming in. Let's talk about the next event out of these ones. Yeah. So, which fight you want to see fight, Doctor, out of these 3? Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo. Which one do you most want to see in order? Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez. Jose Ramirez versus Josh Taylor. Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. Which one do you most want to watch?
Oh, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua by a long shot. I mean, that's the fight that I really would. I mean, that's the fight that needs to happen. Some clarity in the heavyweight division, one man at the top. That's the fight that I want to see most. That fight and you mean out of these 3?
Yeah.
Taylor Ramirez. I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you. I don't care to see Canelo Sanders. I don't care. I don't care to see Canelo further sully himself with all this cherry picking and ducking and dodging. He needs to fight Benavidez. He needs to fight Charlo. Now, those guys are going to fight. And if that fight happens, then the winner, in my opinion, is mandated twice. Is twice mandated. Because you can make an argument that Benavidez has a mandate, currently has a mandate, as does Charlo, right? Charlo is the number 1 contender at 160. And as far as I'm concerned, you could make the argument that Benavidez is the number 1 contender at 168, right? So Alvarez needs to fight both of those guys. But if those guys fight, then there's nowhere else to go. Like, you have to fight the winner of this. You have to fight the winner of Benavidez, Charlo, or else it's a blatant duck, in my opinion. So, yeah, I don't care. You can cross that. Just draw a red X to that fight, because I don't care. I don't even want to talk about that fight, because what does it prove? I mean, at the conclusion of that fight, we all know what's going to happen, right? What do we know that we didn't know the day before? Seriously. I mean, what significance does that fight have in a historical context? I mean, 20 years from now, will anyone be talking about the war, the slugfest that was Alvarez Saunders? No, nobody will care.
No one cares, man. No one cares. But the undisputed, like I think all these fights are undisputed, though, isn't it?
Um, um,
Well, I think Caleb
no,
Plant.
so because
Caleb,
Caleb Plant is holding a belt at 168.
yeah, but I think yeah. But I think so. Two of them undisputed. I got Ramirez beating the ish out of thingy, man. He's gonna terrorize thingy, man. Just Taylor. I just Taylor. He's just I don't see him. I can't see how he wins the fight, man. I can't. I feel like when he gets close up with Ramirez hands, when he starts putting his hands together, he's violent. It's violence. I forgot to talk about the fight happening. Ortiz is fighting in it this weekend, isn't he?
And he missed weight.
Ortiz versus
Yeah, who is he fighting? The stablemate, the Bud Crawford stablemate, I think he is. What's his name?
Man, come on, that's bad. That's really bad. We should know this stuff already. But that's our bet. Virgil Ortiz versus Hooker, Maurice Hooker.
Maurice Hooker. Yes.
There you go. That's it. Virgil Ortiz versus Maurice Hooker. I should know this stuff already, right? I was watching Maurice Hooker. I was with Maurice Hooker versus Ramirez, and he was doing pretty well. But when he started to mix it, when he started to get close, and this is what I'm saying, at some point in the fight, you're gonna have to stand there. And when you do that, Ramirez started open up on Hooker, and Hooker's body, and I look at his neck and everything like that. You can see he looked like a guy. If he can keep you at range, he can win pretty good. But if you get close to him, he's in trouble. And see with Josh Taylor, he's an infighter. He's not very. He tries to box and stuff like that, but he wants the war, bruh. No one's a better war than some Mexican fighters. No one. It's never a good idea to stand with no Mexican fighter at all. With Roberto Garcia, nah. So I don't see how he wins. If he tries to box the whole fight, it's gonna be boring. You know what I mean? He's a southpaw, Josh Taylor, but he's been fighting in Scotland. He's fighting in the UK, and he's with the McGuigans. I don't. He's with Ben Davis. I don't like his chance. But yeah, let's go to the Virgil Ortiz and think. Virgil Ortiz is coming on. How you see that fight, Doctor?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I like Ortiz in the fight, but something has to be said about his conditioning. I mean, the guy he couldn't make weight. So, like, what's going on? At this level, the guy weighed in at 147.6 pounds, so he's more than half a pound off the weight.
Oh, he didn't make the weight?
No. Well, I saw a YouTube headline that says he weighed in at 147.6.
Oh, okay. I've got it in front of me. Well, I didn't know that. Let me see. Okay, he couldn't make the weight. That's terrible. What's it? What they saying, Morrison?
This is a backyard fight Saturday night.
Let me see the weight. Yeah. Well, if that's the case, yeah. But Maurice Hooker's moving up from 140, and I mean if he couldn't make the weight, he's gonna get killed. I mean, Virgil Ortiz is a very big guy, man.
Yeah,
he's a big guy. Well, he's been fighting welterweight, and he's pretty nasty with it as well. He's got some real heavy handers, man.
So I mean, if Ortiz's conditioning isn't an issue, then I'm thinking he's probably going to stop Hooker.
Yeah. The fact that he can't make weight, that just shows you, man. He's coming in to do some damage, man. Coming in to do some permanent damage. Good gosh. I didn't even know that, I didn't check the weigh-in. The weigh-in was a couple hours ago, right?
I'm not quite sure when it was, but I just happened to peek over to YouTube, and I saw a YouTube video. I didn't see the video itself. I just saw the headline, which said Ortiz weighs in at 147.6. So whenever I see a fighter not make weight, especially in a fight of this magnitude, then I always start to ask questions like, what the hell is really going on? I mean, look, it'd be a different thing if you were, a fraction of a pound off, but you're more than half a pound off.
And the funny thing, Oscar De La Hoya and his people, this is how deep they are. They didn't even pull it up that my man missed weight. It completely. If you never told me, I wouldn't even known that. I wouldn't even known that that was the case. That's very sly of them, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's very sly of them. I mean, if it was the other guy, I'm sure they would have put it up. Yo, this guy didn't make weight. That's terrible. So you're making a guy. Hopefully, Mauricio got compensated for him not making weight. But I was gonna put money on Maurice Hooker for the upset, and then I said that I realized he's coming from 140 upwards. He's quite tall and this and that, but he's just, you know, Virgil Ortiz. He looks pretty good up close, so I think that's gonna be a fight. But yeah, man, I mean, that's the biggest fight this weekend. Have you got any reservations for Joshua and Fury that the fight will not happen? Because a lot of people have been quite negative. You know, some people dying, a lot of people like, it ain't happening. Yeah, I don't think it's happening. I think, you know, Wilder's still gonna have his shot. And what's your take on any of that stuff?
Well, honestly, I would just point to all of the inconsistencies and miscues that have been going on. Case in point, you have Frank Warren coming out saying, "Oh well, there was supposed to have been a joint announcement of the contracts having been signed," and you know, Eddie Hearn leaked it to this reporter who put it out there, and you know, Eddie Hearn talking about there's a quote unquote mystery billionaire, whatever the hell that's supposed to be, or whoever the hell this person is supposed to be. You have the silence of Tyson Fury himself. I mean, who is normally quite talkative. You know, I mean, that guy has never seen a microphone he didn't want to caress and hold and make love to, right? So, I mean, I just don't know. It just seems like, you know, then you have this deadline and they've got 23 days to figure out the site, the date and the location, the venue. So when you add it all up, man, I think it gives cause for being cautiously optimistic, in my opinion, which is where I am right now. You know, I would love to see this fight happen. I'm hoping the fight's going to happen. All right, because there's just too much money involved for it to not happen. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, for years and years, we were clamoring for Mayweather Pacquiao. But the fight had to happen because there's just too much money for the fight not to happen. And it seems like this is a similar situation where there's too much money involved for the fight not to happen. But the question is, can it happen right now? That's the question. So I don't know. It needs to happen now. That's for damn sure. It needs to happen.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we're gonna have I haven't done it yet, and I think everyone's been showing their tribute to the marvelous one. So we're gonna give our tribute to Marvelous One, and what we're gonna do, I got John the Beast Mugabe in his own words. I haven't listened to it yet, but I think he's gonna say a couple of words about Marvel and Marvelous Hagler. I haven't really done, like I said, I haven't really done a tribute on this, so I'm gonna put this up on the screen, and we're gonna hear from John the Beast Mugabe. One sec, put this picture up in there because I think yeah, I think, in my opinion, when it comes to the Marvelous One, actually, Fight Doctor, give us your take on Marvelous Marvel Hagler, bro.
So he was like the Bernard Hopkins before there was a Bernard Hopkins, and not to say that I compare him to Bernard Hopkins. I compare Bernard Hopkins to Marvin Hagler because Hagler is honestly a league or two above Bernard Hopkins. But when I was coming up, you know, I remember how the system worked against Bernard Hopkins, right? Like Bernard, you know, like when Bernard was in his prime, you could just tell that that the powers that be were working against him, but he kept bucking the system because no matter what, they kept throwing different things at him, but he kept winning. He just kept winning. He kept grinding until he came out on top. Well, that was Marvin Hagler, except Marvin Hagler, the system worked against him, I think, to an even higher degree than it did against Bernard Hopkins. You know, I mean, he had to deal with the whole racism deal, and you know, just Marvin Hagler, in my mind, is the ultimate blood and guts, stick-to-itiveness guy, where you know he just refused to quit, refused to say die. he set his mind to a goal and would not be denied. And I think if ever a person is looking for motivation, just go look at the Marvin Hagler story and just soak in what this man had to contend with. It was just unbelievable, you know, the mountain that this man had to climb just to get a fair shake, you know. So I think when you talk about great fighters and great human beings and great determination and just the will to win against all odds, Marvin Hagler embodies all of those sentiments to the nth degree.
100%. 100%, fact. I couldn't say any better. So let's hear from John the Beast Mugabe. You remember John the Beast Mugabe, innit, right? Fight
Yeah.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear from John the Beast Mugabe in his own words. Let's hear from the Beast Man. All right, so it's on the screen right now. Large it. Let's get some volume. Let's hear from the Beast. Man, one of Marvin's greatest fights, boy. He moving up from 154. He was knocking everything out there. He gave Hagler a good hard fight. So let's hear from him. I haven't heard this. This is the first time I'm hearing it. Let me see. The volume's good. All right, everything's good. Let's go.
I, John Mugabe, I would like to express my most sincere condolences to the Hagler family. My hero, my everything. Without Hagler was not gonna be John Mugabe still, exist. Marvin Hagler actually was a good friend of John the Beast Mugabe. He's a fighter. People don't know Hagler very well, but I knew Marvin Hagler in the ring. It was tough. Sometimes it was tough for me. How am I gonna take this guy out of here?
Hold up. Let me run it. Because I wanted on the screen. I've probably got Hagler on the screen, and let me get him Hagler off the screen and just put it there. My bad. I just realized I got the thing. 1 second. There you go. That's John the Beast Mugabe. So I can run it. I can run it back. Let me run it back. This screen full. I'll run it back.
I, John Mugabe, I would like to express my most sincere condolences to the Hagler family. My hero, my everything. Without Hagler was not gonna be John Mugabe still, exist. Marvin Hagler actually was a good friend of John the Beast Mugabe. He's a fighter. People don't know Hagler very well, but I knew Marvin Hagler in the ring. It was tough. Sometimes it was tough for me. How am I gonna take this guy out of here? But it didn't happen. So the guy, is a hero. Because that, I'm just shocking to my man. A southpaw, he changes, he puts on his legs on this side, on that side, and he still can beat you and knock you out. But I feel sorry for the family. Please, if you can, see me that myself too, I felt it. I'm with you. It's like my brother was this Marvin Hagler.
That's John the Beast Mugabe, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that's John the Beast Mugabe there is actually. Is that him as well? I think when he won the WBC at light. Yeah, I think that's him. I think he won the WBC at light middle. But all right. So that's that. That's John the Beast Mugabe. Let's stop scared. Share the screen. So what do you think, Fight Doctor?
Honestly, I would love to talk to someone who could provide insight on what happened in Hagler's camp leading up to the Leonard fight. I mean, I would love to know what he was thinking during that training camp. Like, what was he thinking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. What was he exactly? What was he thinking when? And I know what fight was talking about. What was he thinking when he turned south? He turned orthodox for a couple of rounds, right? That's what you're talking about, isn't it?
Right. Like, so he comes out and he boxes like the first 2 rounds, I think, orthodox. You know, now, like, why would you do that? You know, just makes me wonder what was that, what was going on in that training camp? What was his conversation? What was his mindset? What was he thinking? You know?
Yeah, it was strange. It was strange. It was strange. I remember. I mean, if he came up, the thing is, what bothered me as well. If it was 15 rounds, man, it should have been 50. He said, "I don't." Hagler was so confident. He goes, "I don't even need 15 rounds." Like, man, you've been fighting 15 rounds. You know that. His mindset for that one fight. I don't know. The people around him said it's gonna be easy. I don't know what was going on in the camp. For some reason, he thought it was gonna be a cakewalk against Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, how long was he out the ring for? 5 years, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Leonard was out of the ring for 3 years.
It's a long
time. That's a long time to be out of the ring, and then, it's a long time to be out of the ring. But you're out of the ring for 3 years or however long it was, and then you come back and you fight Marvin Hagler.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. But when you watched the fight, who did you think won the fight though?
I think, honestly, the fight could have gone either way. I think Leonard was smart to negotiate 12 rounds. I think Hagler was stupid to come fight the first 2 rounds conventional. I think Hagler was stupid to fight Leonard's fight, which is what he did for, large portions of the fight. But at the end of the day, I think a case can be made for either guy winning. I'm trying to remember the last time I scored the fight. I don't recall who I scored it for last time I scored it. I actually, you know what? I think maybe that's what I'm going to do next week. One day next week, I'm going to sit down, watch that fight, no audio, and score it. But I can't tell you this. I scored the first 2 rounds for Leonard. Okay, I can tell you that much.
Well, yeah, but the funny thing about it, Hagler looked so slow, man. It looked like the Beast Mugabe fight took so much out of him, It looked like it took so much out of him. It looked like that sort of fight was like, I think he was talking about retirement after that fight, and I think he's like, "Yo, man, hang on, I can't be getting this." That was a war. I mean, well, who needs to fight Beast Mugabe? Like, that's the thing about him, right? Mugabe was the next guy to be coming up in the division, right? It's almost like Rocky Marciano fighting Sonny Liston. It's like you don't need to fight him if you don't have to. You know what I mean? He could have ducked him, but Hagler said, "No, I'll give him a shot. I'll give him a shot." You know what I mean? And that's said about Hagler. That's why people look at him. But at the same time, when you have a Beast Mugabe type of fight against that type of guy, you could retire in that drink. You don't need to fight after that. But the Leonard fight, to me, it was Leonard realized that he it was the perfect timing, because Hagler, when he was in that fight, it looked like he lost his zip against Leonard. You know what I mean? He lost his explosiveness.
Yeah, well, I mean, by that time, Hagler had some miles on him. There's no denying that. And he retires after the Leonard fight. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's no question that Leonard caught Hagler at the perfect time. I'm agreeing with that. He did. He caught him at the perfect time.
Yeah, and consequently, when I watched the fight, he just looked so slow. But Leonard's that fast. But he looked like his punching power, it wasn't there either. I don't know. Did they have a catch weight? I don't know why Leonard looked so strong and fast. He looked fast and strong. And, people say he was moving around and that, but he did the same thing to Roberto Duran. He frustrates you. He did the same kind of game plan. But he was fit enough to do that, though, for the whole duration. There was a part in the fight where he's on the ropes, and they were worried, but then even then, he got himself out the ropes. Hagler was just digging in. Just there trying to dig in, because Hagler, I think I realize now what happened in the fight. Hagler's legs, chasing Leonard around that big bloody ring. I think it started to affect him, bro.
Yeah, so it was like I think it was a 22-foot ring. It was a big ring.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of what Leonard wanted at the negotiation table, is that he wanted that big ring so he could have space to move around.
Yes. And that's what Hagler, if you look at Hagler, Hagler usually cuts the ring down, or he's a better boxer. But there he's going against a guy who was actually faster and he could move, and it was an effort for him, especially at a late age, to be cutting the ring down and chasing this guy down. So when he finally got to him, he's like, I got you now. He's breathing. And Hagler starts thinking he's going to start working, but every time he tries to get into a flow, Leonard would just outflow him. He would just outflow him, and that's how the pace of the fight went, the whole duration. When I watched the fight, and especially you're right, if you turn the volume off, then it's a different fight. But it's hard not to notice the crowd are into it, and they started to back Leonard, man. They started to back Leonard.
I mean, there's no question that Leonard was the house favorite. There's just no question that, when Leonard turned on his antics, that automatically garnered support for him, in terms of the judging, in my opinion, but Leonard was able to frustrate Hagler, and he was able to, I think, in portions of the fight, make Hagler fight his fight, but in terms of who was actually making the fight, I think that was Hagler. You have large portions of the fight where Hagler is essentially chasing Leonard around the ring, and Leonard is refusing the fight, except in the last 30 seconds. You can make the argument that Leonard stole that fight in the last 30 seconds of the rounds. But that was his strategy. Keep the rounds close and then turn it on in the last 30 seconds. And I'm surprised that somebody in Hagler's corner wasn't able to figure out what was going on. Somebody should be able to dissect what this guy is doing, especially when you have somebody in the opposing corner yelling out 30 seconds at the end of every round. Somebody should be able to connect the dots. Like, look, this guy is trying to steal the fight. We need to prevent him from doing that.
How do you do that? How do you prevent him from doing that?
Well, what you do is you play his same game. All right. If he's trying to flurry and showboat and shoe shine in the last 30 seconds, well, you adopt a similar tactic. Or if you're winning the round, then in the last 30 seconds, you deny him the opportunity to do that.
Well, yeah, but Hagler, it's hard to say. Hagler, I don't think he was one of them guys to be able to adjust. I think they had their set game plan. I think they worked towards their game plan. I think they thought Leonard's going to be old. That's what I think. They underestimated him, because that all goes into him being orthodox for the thing, and it was like, I'll just play, because I remember anything, I'll just lick my chops and play around with him. That was his mentality for the first time coming into negotiations, because everyone's like, he wants to fight you. He goes, what? He wants to fight me? How long he been out the ring? Hagler just, you know what I mean? At some point, Hagler, for one point in his career where it was one of the most important fights in his career, they all were important. But for this fight, I think he underestimated him, man. I think
there's no question. That's the reason why I was wondering, like, what was Hagler's mindset during training camp?
Yeah.
And I think if you properly analyze the first two rounds, they underestimated Leonard. I mean, you can't come to any other conclusion. I mean, listen, Leonard may have been out of the ring for 3 years or however long it was, but he's still Sugar Ray Leonard. Okay, that fact hasn't changed, despite him having been out the ring for as long as he was. Mm-hmm. So, your approach to the fight in the first two rounds, I think that betrays his mindset, which was, essentially somewhat haphazard. When you're fighting orthodox first couple of rounds. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that they took Leonard seriously in their training and definitely in their approach to the fight, and certainly they were not able to make the proper adjustments, I think, to what Leonard was trying to do. And
you know what I reckon that was, though? I reckon it was because it was their biggest ever payday. That's what I think it was. You know what I mean? Because Hagler was always the underdog kind of thing. Hearns, Roberto Duran and all them things there. And I think this was his biggest ever payday. I don't know how much money he got in the fight, but they got a lot of money in that fight. They made a lot of money in that fight. I'm not too sure how much millions he did. But Hagler was still better, man. He was still better. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. So yeah.
Go ahead.
Hagler was bitter going into that fight, and I'm sure that the decision. Well, we know what happened. The decision was such it left him so bitter that he walked away from the sport.
Yeah, it was. Never came back.
And didn't even look back.
Yeah. It was. But hey, man, Hagler it was surprising to see how he passed away. So you know what I mean. But this is the thing, right? If we wasn't in this Corona era, I don't think Hagler passes away. I don't think Hagler passes away. What do you think? If we wasn't.
Well, I'm curious to know if he got the shot or not.
What?
I'm curious to know if he got the shot, the coronavirus shot.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what they were talking about. Well, I was listening to my man in the chat. He said Steve Cunningham is going off on that thing. Let me see what Steve Cunningham's saying. I think Steve Cunningham had a point to say about that. Let me see what he's saying. Steve Cunningham on his Facebook. But what do you think about the Corona shot? He had an opposite effect from the Corona shot. What do you think about that? You think that was the case? Maybe.
I mean, well, so Hank Aaron got the shot, and then I think like 2 weeks later he was gone. So, yeah, I wouldn't rule it out. Listen. I'll tell you what. I would be surprised if he did not get the shot prior to. I would be surprised.
Maybe someone's clickbait and put that out on this. I don't know. Maybe someone clickbait put that out.
But I mean, he was only 66 years old. I hadn't heard any stories or reports of him being in poor health.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, normally it's a process. People do just like drop dead, but normally it's a process. People are sick, they go to the hospital. I mean, I'm sure he had, adequate health care. I mean, Marvin Hagler, so
he came back to the States. He was living in America, so I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know where he was living and stuff like that. But it's a shame, man. It's a shame. I don't know what to say. It's a shame. It's like Hagler was always fit, man. Hagler
right.
Fit. All right, let me hear what Steve Cunningham got to say. See if he gonna say something about something. No, this is Academy.
Bet 20 more.
That's his Academy.
USS Cunningham. Here at the USS Fight Academy, we do more than just get you ready for fights and get you in.
Nah. Because I thought, like, my man said he said something about it on the Facebook. Maybe he was probably commenting about it, but I ain't seen nothing, actually a video on it or anything like that. So I'll leave it as that. Because I see Chris Bird trying to keep himself in shape as well, trying to do things to keep himself in shape. And I think that's what professional athletes, and especially in this era, should be doing. I mean, Hagler, for whatever reason, because he stopped boxing, I think he completely stopped boxing, And then the Petronelli brothers died some years ago, didn't they? Both of them. Patty and Thing, innit?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, they died. They both died like 2009 and 10 and stuff like that. The Petronellis, they passed away. So it's a shame, man. It's a shame. Hagler, he could make a lot of money with that Leonard fight, though. You know what I mean? If they had a rematch, would you have favored Hagler in a rematch?
I would have favored.
Leonard would
Yeah,
have
well, I think what would have happened is Hagler would have made the necessary adjustments. He would have taken it seriously this time. He wouldn't have come out and boxed southpaw. I'm sorry, he wouldn't have come out and boxed orthodox and gave up the first 2 rounds. He probably would have been insistent on the 15-round fight. So, yeah, I think Hagler would have been a shoo-in, but Leonard didn't want to fight. I think Leonard did everything he could to avoid the rematch with Hagler, which, in my mind, was criminal. He should have given Hagler a rematch.
But the thing is, yeah, because it didn't a rematch, that's why the fight is so where it was. Because the thing is, if they had a rematch, let's say they had a rematch, right? And Leonard beat him in the rematch, how would Hagler be looked on differently? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it would have diminished his stature in any way. I mean, listen, so it's kind of like losing to Floyd Mayweather, right? So Canelo Alvarez has a loss to Floyd Mayweather, but really, I don't even count that as a loss because even though it is a loss, but you lose to Floyd Mayweather. Everybody loses to Floyd Mayweather. So that's not really a knock against Canelo because you lost to the greatest fighter of this generation, of this era. So, yeah, that I don't. The loss to if he would have come back, if they would have made the rematch and he lost the second time to Leonard, I would not. I don't think that would have had any real negative impact on his legacy.
I can't believe you said that fight, Doctor, about Figgy, like that fight. He lost to Mayweather don't mean nothing. That meant a lot, man. Because you know the thing is, yeah, Canelo wouldn't have learned and what he did, losing to Mayweather and got him better. At the same time, a younger guy, like, you know, when Mike Tyson was coming through, or young fighters, they're supposed to beat the older dude, man. You know what I mean? They're supposed to. That's how great that fight is. I think taken away from that fight as a loss, that was a good ass beating loss that he had to go into, so to let him know how serious this game is. Like Mayweather, lucky for Mayweather, had that kind of fight with Emmanuel Augustus, right? He had that fight where he had to go into the tank where he'd never been before, and then because of that, he said, "Yo, that's the closest he's ever been to actually feeling about losing or quitting." You know what I mean? Because that Augustus blooded him up and everything, right? And you know what's funny thing about that is that was at lightweight, right? And then Mayweather came back down to super featherweight to defend his belt. But when Corrales fought Mayweather, they said he was thinking about moving up and he's come back down. And I was like, but he didn't actually fight at superweight. But Mayweather actually went up to lightweight, came back down and experienced that kind of ass whooping and used that for the whole of his career. That's why you asked him, who was your hardest kid? It was Emmanuel Augustus, because that at that point realized that made him into a pro. That's the fight. And this is what happened to Canelo. Canelo, that ass whooping he got from Mayweather, that turned him into a pro. Anything up until that point, it was like, yeah, okay, I'm supposed to win. But this fight was the first fight where he had to, you know, Mayweather had a certain catch weight. You know what I mean? This guy had more experience than me, and he gave him a good schooling. And he experienced it, and he said, yo, never again, no. So, I would take that as a loss. I take that as a loss, and a good ass beat down it was. And even Mayweather fought him in his prime, the same thing would happen again, in my opinion. But, you know. So all right, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, well, no question. Mayweather beats Alvarez 10 out of 10 times, regardless at any point in Alvarez's career. So, but I agree that loss is actually good for Alvarez in that he was able to go to school, and I think that experience made him a better fighter. You know, he was able to learn some things. You know, but I don't really hold that loss against him. In the sense that it's not only that you lose, but it's also who you lose to. And then there's no shame in losing to Floyd because everybody loses to Floyd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Leonard says something on his Facebook. He hasn't done a video with it. I was really in shock yesterday after hearing the news of Hagler. It hit me hard. Yeah, we had just the utmost respect for each other. I don't know about that. Marvin Hagler had every ingredient that it took to be a great champion. Yeah, great champion. Marvin, you are definitely gone too soon, but you will forever live on as one of the greatest. Though thoughts and prayers to the entire Hagler family. Yeah, that's the thing. I would have liked if he'd done a video. You know, at least John Beast Mugabe, he's in Australia, done a video on him, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard, you know. Leonard, see the thing about Leonard, right? And Hagler, it's like, you know, that kind of people love that kind of backwards and forwards kind of thing, you know what I mean? They love that kind of, man, Leonard should have given another shot, man. But Leonard should have fought bloody Aaron Pryor, you know? Oh, Leonard should have fought that guy. Leonard should have fought that guy. You know what I mean?
So from what I understand, Aaron Pryor negotiated himself out of that fight because there was a plan for Leonard to fight Aaron Pryor. And I think Leonard's camp offered Aaron Pryor something like $700,000 for the fight. And Aaron Pryor, his camp, they wanted $1 million. And so the Leonard camp was like, no, and then they just moved on. But there was a plan for Leonard and Pryor to fight.
Yeah, well, do you think he should have took that? You think Aaron Pryor should have took the money?
I think, yeah. I mean, so you get an opportunity to make all-time great money against an all-time great fighter, And what if you win? So yeah, I mean, sometimes sometimes you just have to like know your role and do the math and figure out like, look, this is an opportunity. Um, I don't let my ego get in the way. It's $700,000 or however much it is. Yeah, let me go ahead and take this fight, beat Leonard, and then your legacy all of a sudden, your status all of a sudden goes through the roof.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that.
That I was gonna say that's what Wilder got offered with AJ, right? And he didn't take that either. You know what I mean? I think they offered him in New York. No, actually, because Wilder fought around that time. I think Wilder said he got offered more money to fight AJ than he does in Fury in the rematch. But I think he cherry picked Fury because he thought it was gonna be an easier fight, right?
Very well could be. I mean, so my question is this: so when they offered Wilder all that money, what did that offer include a guarantee to fight Joshua? That's my question.
You'd think so, but maybe not. Maybe not. No, I don't think it did. But it was a lot of money. The thing is, yeah, if you had them both on the zone, right, and that's what the zone, you had them both on the zone, and you take that money, you're in thing. But look at this, right? Canelo had to negotiate himself out of that contract to get a new contract. So it goes back. Like, I think you get it every time you fight. So I don't know if he would have got the money. But there was another occasion where they offered Eddie Hearn said he only deserves 15%. 15%. I think Joshua 85 or something like that. So they were just Eddie Hearn was just out and up being disrespectful. And you remember Eddie Hearn even said, yeah, that I kind of like messed that one up because he realized Anthony Joshua would have beat him. But I think Eddie, he was the one who thought, oh, he doesn't deserve the fight, and he wanted to start that trouble for whatever reason. And Eddie Hearn believed that he needs to keep his mouth shut and in negotiation. And if you look at it, right, the Fury and AJ, is Eddie Hearn coming out and telling you how much Fury's worth and he doesn't deserve this and that? He's not doing that, is he? Why is he not doing that? But he was doing that with Wilder. You know what I mean? That agenda's not been given. He's not talking about how much Sky's worth and what Fury deserves and stuff like that. He ain't saying none of that shit, bro. But he did it with Wilder, disrespected it. Wilder, in my opinion, is worth just as much because he's undefeated for how long? Yeah, people say he's beating mascators, but he had the WBC belt, which is a prestigious belt, and it would have been a nice cap. Eddie Hearn looked at it, he said that was an opportunity. It would have been a mega fight. He should have made the fight. He should have made the fight, really. And, because look at this, right? The Fury and AJ fight would always be there. That would always be there. But then you could have beat Wilder, had all the belts, and then Fury would have been coming off a layoff, and you could have beat Fury, and AJ would have been into the sunset long time ago. But you went the wrong way around, in my opinion. But I think they just like, we don't want to give Wilder the payday. We don't want to give him this and that. And I think being like, I don't understand why. If you're trying to make the best fights in boxing, that's what you do. That's what you do. So. Yeah, maybe Wilder and Eddie Hearn, they had loggerhead. It wasn't, and this never happened and stuff like that. So that's the fight I always wanted to see. It wasn't never going to be Fury and AJ. I'm like, I'll watch that, but it was always Wilder because I like Wilder that one punch knockout and AJ with that power. I thought, woof, that stylistically is a wicked fight, man. Stylistically for me, I thought.
Yeah, well, listen, I believe in, and I continue to believe that the motivation. I don't think that the motivation was there for Hearn to make the Joshua Wilder fight. I don't think Hearn wanted to make that fight. And here's the reason why. I think in Hearn's calculations, he figured Wilder would have ended Joshua.
Yeah, that's what he did for it. But he realized now that Wilder probably wouldn't. And AJ would have probably won the fight. That's why he said he should have made it, because he's seen the way Fury got on the front foot and just dealt with it. He saw how Fury dealt with Wilder. He said, yo, this guy ain't that good. And he's like, AJ could have done a better job. That he only realized that after Fury did it. And he's like, oh shit, I messed up there. So he's you know what I'm saying? Like, so he's involved in the matchmaking. And a lot of these losses that Matchroom's been taking, Eddie Hearn's involved in the matchmaking, man. Like the Lara versus Josh Warrington and stuff like that. He's involved in this stuff, man. He's hands-on. That's why I blame Eddie Hearn. EJ, what you blame Eddie Hearn for? Because he's hands-on. He's hands-on in the matchmaking, So he is. So I blame him.
Well, say what you will about Top Rank, but Top Rank has good matchmaking, and they know how to keep their guys undefeated.
They know how to rent their guys out when they're done. When Rigondeaux beat Donaire, that was that one. When Teofimo Lopez, they know how to get one of their guys, Lomachenko doing it to Rigondeaux, and then Rigondeaux and then Teofimo Lopez doing it to Lopez. So they know how to do their fighters dirty when they have no value. But when he wanted to get rid of Rigondeaux off the contract, that's what they did to him. They did.
Well,
Rigondeaux.
yeah. Well, look no further than the Manny Pacquiao fight. The Pacquiao. The Australian cat. What's his name?
Who's that? Pacquiao. Who's that? Pacquiao. Oh, you about Jeff Horn? Jeff Horn.
Jeff Horn. Okay, Pacquiao is on the last fight of his contract with Top Rank, and they match up against Horn, and what happens? He loses.
Yes.
So again, Top Rank's matchmaking. Okay, those guys know what they're doing, and I continue to believe that was by design. All right, they wanted Pacquiao to lose.
Eddie Hearn wants Billy Joe off his record, mate. He wants him off his books. He wants Billy Joe off the books, man. He's had enough of him, bro. I'm telling you, he's getting Billy Joe a good whoop ass. Josh Taylor, he's gonna get a whoop ass as well. It's Josh Taylor. I don't know if it's Josh Taylor with Eddie Hearn. I think he is. No, he's with MTK. He's with MTK. I think, and so is Billy Joe Saunders, right? But I think they're gonna be shown through Sky. But the two of the English guys, right, with the belts. I mean, look at all three of these guys, right? There's like four of these guys there: Fury, AJ, Billy Joe Saunders, Josh Taylor, right? And they've all got belts, and they're like particularly the best in their division. Billy Joe Saunders, one of the best in his division. AJ, the best, or him and Fury, 1 or 2, 2 or 1, whatever, however you want to do it, right? But particularly in these fights here, the matchroom guys are AJ's the matchroom guy, like Billy Joe Saunders is supposed to be, but it's Canelo. See, this is the thing. Canelo is now the matchroom guy. Eddie Hearn's in love with Canelo. He's like a Canelo fan, right? Now he's renting Billy Joe Saunders to get a whoop ass. So he's doing another one. He's looking for Billy Joe, but I think Billy Joe's gonna upset him. I think Billy Joe's gonna beat Canelo Alvarez.
Very well could be. I wouldn't be surprised if Alvarez loses a close decision in this fight. Now, would I bet on that? No. Would I be surprised that it happens? No. Very well could happen. So last time we saw Alvarez in the ring with a southpaw, that was a Lara fight, a fight that I thought Lara could have won. And then the time before that, we saw Alvarez in the time before that, we saw Alvarez in the ring with a southpaw was a Trout fight, which I saw Trout winning that fight. Okay, it was close, but I thought Trout did enough to win that fight. So we, going on past experience, Alvarez has not looked good against southpaws. And Saunders would be the biggest, strongest, longest southpaw that Alvarez would have faced to date. So, yeah, I could definitely see the potential for an upset happening. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, so the people just came in. Me and Fight thought that we've done a recap on the Parker Chisora card. You know what I'm saying? Katie Taylor versus Natasha Jonas, and Demetrius Dibble versus Craig Richards, and Eubank versus Eubank's going against a guy that bloody that is why even bother, I mean, Eubank's going against, somewhere along the line, Eubank, they've picked this opponent, and it's like, why even bother? You know what I mean? It's so low down, it's ridiculous. And so is Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker is fighting lower tier popcorn. How is that going to get Joseph Parker fighting Derek Chisora and them boys? You know what I mean? I guess he's on a comeback and trying to build his confidence, but bloody hell, mate. I mean, some of these guys are bums, man. You know what I mean, bro? Let me ask a question. See this card, Chisora versus Parker. In America, would you pay for it?
Like pay-per-view? Oh, hell no. Hell no. No, this is not even close to a pay-per-view card. No, Listen, pay-per-view cards in America are not close to pay-per-view cards. Like the Ruiz Arreola fight. That's not a pay-per-view worthy fight. I mean, that fight is hot garbage. It is. I mean, look, it will. I tell you what, the fight will probably be entertaining for as long as it lasts. Okay, and like the first 4 or 5 rounds, I'm sure it'll be a good fight, and then at some point, one or both of them will gas, and then it'll turn into a snooze fest if one of them doesn't get knocked out first. But is that a pay-per-view quality fight? No. Both of these guys coming off of a loss. Ariola hasn't fought since how long? And you want to make this a pay-per-view fight? That doesn't. Yeah, thank you, but no thanks. I'll be more than happy to catch it on stream or download it the next day or whatever. But in terms of paying for that fight, not gonna happen.
Well, a certain amount of fan base are gonna pay for the card. That's the thing. See the UK, right? The UK in this fight here, it's got enough for the UK people that we're gonna pay for it. Like I'm excited for the card because I want to see Natasha Jonas against Katie Taylor. I want to see that fight. We want to see if Craig Richards can beat Bivol or be competitive. Eubank, I don't really care for. We want Derek Chisora to get better to beat Joseph Parker. So it's kind of expectations. So people would pay as long as the price is reasonable. The one you've mentioned in between Ariola. Now this is the thing. When Ruiz had the belts, right? He was undisputed. He was unified champion. I said he should just drop the belts, right? And just drop the belts and fight Ariola or something like that. Yeah. Now, but the only reason why he wouldn't, because it was his biggest ever payday. It was madness to just drop the belts and not get a shot, and let the belt scatter to the wind. It would have been crazy for him to just, let me just relinquish the belts and fight Ariola. But I always thought at that time when he had the belts, he should have given Ariola a shot. But that this fight is happening now. The Mexican fan base are going to pay for that card, man. They're going to put a decent Latino fan base card, and I think they're the ones they're kind of angling for to pay for the card. So that's why, you know what I mean? It's not really for, let's say, per se for the African Americans, but for the Latino crowd, I think they'll pay for it. What do you think? Put Santa Cruz on there. Maybe we put Danny Garcia on the card and another Latinos, and I think you got a card. I think you stack the card like you got here. Because look, if you think about Chisora and Parker, that's not a pay-per-view card, but you put Bivol on there. He's a world level guy, and Katie Taylor undisputed, and Eubank in there, the sniffing around. You got a decent card. What do you think?
Yeah. So and here I actually got to jump off, but I'll just add. I agree. They're definitely marketing this pay-per-view fight towards a certain demographic. But yeah, I mean, if you can stack the card with some entertaining fights, then I'm still not going to pay for it. But I mean, I can definitely see the Latin crowd, supporting it. And listen, I hope that the pay-per-view is successful. I'm not going to pay for it, but if this will, hype up interest in the sport, if this will potentially, shine some light on the sport or provide some shine for the sport, then I'm all for it. But having said that, I got to hop off.
All right, nice one, Fact Though. You take care, my friend.
All right, thank you, brother.
Peace out. That was the Fight Doctor on Rich James as always. Well, I think the show come to a final conclusion. I appreciate it. October Red. If you don't know now, make sure you go sub to October Red channel. Some of the best hot interviews over there or here on YouTube. Spider's going to beat Bivol. I hope he is. He's going to be competitive, hopefully. I hope he doesn't give him too much respect. You know what I mean? Didn't say the contract was signed. I don't know if the contract's signed. Not too sure. Maurice Hooker. Well, we talked about that fight versus Ortiz Jr. innit? He can try and be slick. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna do it. Yeah, Hooker versus Ortiz is a decent fight. If it's not broken, don't fix it. 100%. Yeah, Hagler. Yeah, Hagler was still in good shape. Yeah, even in the 60s. Yeah, in his 60s. Exactly. Yeah, he was even in his 60s. Yep, can't even win. I went on Steve Cunham's page and I didn't see anything. But I can see he's anti-vaccine. He don't need to. He's fit, man. No vaccine. You know what I mean? Gowaki. Yeah. Gowaki, whatever his name. Gowaki versus Lawrence Okoli. No, they're on the way in already. So anyway, people, there's nothing more to say but to say I'm going away. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Rest in peace, Marvin Hagler. I really didn't do a tribute, really. I was still kind of like letting it kind of marinate, the marvelous one. So many great fights in Vegas and so many great fights in boxing. And these guys put on a show, man. They might move days back in the days where the best would fight the best, and they'd come to fight. They've come to fight. Fighting champions, undisputed, and just call it on. What's up, Joe Host? Yeah. So do I. Yeah, Joe Host. I hope Chisora. He'll give it. He'll see. Sure, I think the card is about hopeful. They should probably change the card to well wishes or hopeful. But most likely, people are wishing on a star for some of the fights on that card to be good. But overall, I think the card is enough to get people talking about. Definitely talking about the Eubank fight. It's interesting. Eubank's on the card. I would have liked him to go against a better opponent. That would have been better for him. But but the rest of the card is still. I like Natasha Jonas finally getting another shot at a championship against Katie Taylor, and I think she can beat her. I think she can beat her. Whether she'll be on the cards, another thing. Hope Craig Davis puts up a very decent battle, decent fight against him. I like to see that. Try and get Craig on the channel at some point. And Derek Chisora, yeah. Oh, if he can beat Joseph Parker, that'd be good for him. That'd be good for him. As long as he'll bring a fight, man. Definitely, Derek will come to fight. I'm EJ Boxing Live. Thanks for coming over, people. Hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the fights. Take care. Peace.